Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Distance FOMO podcast. My name is Shaun, and I'm in Dublin, Ireland. This is Imran. He is in Thun, Switzerland, and this is our long distance friendship podcast, episode number 42. And we're going to kick things off like we do every week, where our out of context weekly scenarios. This is the section where me and Imran give each other parts of our week out of context, and the other person has to try and guess what is going on. So, Imran, what is your out of context weekly scenario?
Okay, so the baby handler.
The baby handler. Did, did you or Nicola hold a baby at some point?
Yes,
Was it a friend's baby?
yes,
Was it your friends or Nicola's friends?
my friend.
Your friend's baby.
Yeah,
Did you drop the baby?
no, thankfully not.
Okay. Were you
Yeah,
just like really nervous holding a baby for the first time?
exactly. Yeah, that's the contents of it. I was
Oh,
trying
there
to
we
like,
go. Smashed
yeah, yeah.
it.
I was trying. I remember. I was like, this is the highlight of my week, definitely. But I was like, I don't know how to say it with him not getting it so obvious. But I don't think there was a way around that. But that was my
Yeah.
first time holding a baby, and
Okay.
bro, it's like they're so small. Like it's like holding like a bag of sugar, like a little like 1 kg bag of sugar. And then I was just like so conscious of like holding his head. I actually didn't really want to hold the baby, but they really like the my mate in work. Yeah, he recently had a baby, and he was like, oh, go on, hold it. Like he's like, hold the baby. He's like, it'd be just nice like for you and the baby. And I was like, okay. So like anyway, they showed me how to hold the head and stuff, and they put like a little pillow underneath me, just for the baby's head and stuff on the blanket and stuff like that. And it was just like for like a solid like 3 minutes, we were just like the baby and I were just looking at each other, and I don't know how to describe it. I don't know if you've ever held a baby, but it's just like this like warmth. Like it's just the baby's real warm and small and soft, and I just couldn't believe how small their hands are.
Mm.
Um, I remember I sent the photo to Nicola because she was in work, she wasn't able to come up, and then I was like, Nicola was like, "Oh, so cute." And then when I came back into work, all the lads were like, "Yeah, yeah, your girlfriend definitely wants a baby now for like 1 week."
For 1 week
You know
only.
that? Yeah, just for 1 week only. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Have you ever held a baby before? Or
I don't think so.
yeah,
Because I think if I did, like, I would have been like a young teenager, like I'm talking like 12 to 14 or something like that. But
yeah,
I can't remember holding a baby. Like, there's not been many like babies born in my family.
yeah, in
Like,
my
all
family.
the cousins are like at least like 6 or 7 years of age,
Mm,
like on both sides of my family.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't think I have.
Yeah, it's a bit of a surreal feeling because especially it's like 'cause you think like the idea of like having a baby like it tends to be like yourself having a baby and then you would hold it, and that was the first time like I'd ever held a baby first of all, and then the second time it's like your friend like is like that, like when I was holding it, it was like the responsibility I have for like that's my mate's like child. So you're just like you have that like overlaying cloud at the top of your head, like don't drop the baby, don't drop the baby, don't drop the baby. But no, it was a nice experience, definitely.
Of course, there's that surreal moment where you lock eyes with your friend and you go, "It's mad that you had a ride and now I'm holding something."
Yeah, 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 literally. It's like this came from you, bro. Uh,
Literally.
literally. So what's your out of context weekly scenario? Hopefully not as dramatic as last week's, but
Wouldn't say as dramatic, but maybe
okay,
on like a similar sense of like, it might sound more sexual than it actually is.
okay. Here we go
um,
again. The
so
innuendos are
my
gone.
my out of context weekly scenario is fake orgasms in a Dunnes Stores car park.
Were you with like one of the lads and you were just messing in the Dunstores car park, just like letting out orgasm noises?
No.
Okay, you're obviously in the Dunstores car park. Let's put that out there. Yeah,
Yes, yeah, yeah.
bit obvious. Yeah,
Location spot on.
yeah. Location spot on. Yeah. Has anything to do with like you shopping?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, are you with Simone in the car, or you just
Yes.
pulled in the car? Okay. Is it
Yes.
like a couple of young lads like just acting the maga and they're like basically moaning and pretending they're having sex?
No.
No. Was it like anything to do with animals? Were like animals
No.
doing the business? No, no. Okay. So, Dunstores car park. You're with Simone. You're going to do your shopping and you're hearing fake orgasm noises. Had you clicked into a video? Oh wait, I think I have it. You pulled into the car park, right? Your phone's obviously connected to the car. You're playing some music now. You pulled up, you had the windows open. You clicked into like a video your mate sent you, and then it was just blasting out the window like orgasm noises.
No.
No, okay. Throw me a bone here. Throw me a bone.
So I was the one making fake orgasm noises.
Okay, so someone on the phone to somebody.
No.
Why are you making fake orgasm noises in the Dunstar Scarberry?
And I'm doing it as I'm driving.
Is there a song playing on the on like in a song?
No.
I don't know.
It's entirely like due to the environment. There's something about the Dunstores car park that made me want a fake orgasm
Where's the Dunstar Scarberry?
outside
Like
Duns.
where is it? No, like the location. Like is it
Clondalkin.
in Clondalk? Okay, so I haven't been to it.
Nah. It's not. It's not really like specific. Like it doesn't matter that it's
Was there like
in.
something advertised like Chelsea jersey or like a type of food or like a deal, a food
No.
deal? Like,
No.
okay, give me one more guess and then I'll give up. Hmm. Okay.
So another one. This might help you a bit more. So the reason for the fake orgasming was due to the circumstances in the car park.
Yeah, I'm getting that. I'm just trying to figure out what's in the car park that's making you fake orgasm. Did you see any of your mates in the car park?
No. I just like imagine like I seen you and I was like, oh, it's Imran. Oh.
That's something you would do though. That's the thing. Uh, all right, last guess. Has it anything to do with like a special offer from Dunn's, like
No,
something that you crave and you're like, oh yeah.
nope.
Okay, I give up. I'm on a terrible streak to the Bachelor. The past 3 weeks, I've sucked. Okay,
Okay,
go on.
so the reason I was fake orgasming as we pulled into the Dunstores car park was so me and Simone. The last like 3 or 4 weeks we've been going store shopping has been hell. It's been a fucking nightmare, and it's just because it's coming up to Christmas and the
Christmas.
shops are getting busier and busier, right? And as I said on the podcast last week, our kitchen cabinet fell off, so we actually couldn't put any of our stuff away until we got that fixed. So we eventually went shopping, but we didn't actually get to go shopping until like 8 o'clock on Saturday night. And the
Yeah.
reason that I was orgasming, having a fake orgasm, was I pulled into the Dunstores car park and there was like five other cars there, and I was just delighted that we were going to go in and do our shopping, and like there was
Oh, okay.
nobody in the shop. Like there
Okay.
was now there was more people in there. Like there was five cars around us, and there was like it's a bigger car park, like but
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah,
car
yeah.
park was like you can easily fit like 300 people, and I'd say there was like about 30, 40 cars max
Oh, okay,
in this whole
okay,
thing.
okay.
So like I was
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
oh my god, and like we went in and there was like it was just a breeze. It was an easy shop. The shelves had just been restocked, and I was just very very happy with it. This is
Yeah.
like peak adult life, you know. It's
Okay,
so
okay, 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 okay. I felt like I was close though, but anyway.
you were getting like you think you weren't giving me out and to be like, oh,
I
you're
wasn't
getting
getting
hotter
the
or colder,
context. The
like you know.
context I wasn't getting,
Yeah,
definitely not.
you weren't you weren't reading into the car park itself enough. Like you were looking for like external things in the car park.
That's actually one thing I miss about having the car as well, is being able to do a food shop. Like just pull up into the car park and just get your food.
I love the food shop, man. I genuinely enjoy doing the food shop every week. But this thing, I hadn't been enjoying it the last like 3 4 weeks. So me and Simone said we're gonna start going like at night. Like this is like I was like this. I don't know if this is like really like cool or really sad that like this is like us in our 20s that we're like, yeah, Saturday night, what are you doing? The big shop. You
Yeah.
know, because we get like the two of us hate it because there's just kids running around screaming,
Mm,
and you've got people who are experiencing their first day on planet Earth in that shop. I swear to God, because they're walking around, they're banging their trolleys into you, they're just going, just giving you like a stupid smile after just running over your foot in a
ramen in.
trolley,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and it's like. Yeah, sound. Cheers. Thanks for that movement. Like, yeah, there's just like, no, and there's no concept of like personal space or like, you
yeah.
know, in school when they taught you to stay on the left, you know, no concept of that shit going on. People crossing lanes left, right, and centre, jumping over your trolley to try and get that broccoli. I'm not here for any of that carry on.
There's obvious things like that in a supermarket. Like it's like you know which way the trolleys go. Like the right hand side primarily is like when you're going to get like your food, you'd be on the right hand side of your trolleys. Like most, like in terms of traffic, right? And then on the left hand side, if you're coming up the aisle, you would go the opposite. If you're going up the opposite direction, you would go that way. But like say like if you're going up an aisle and it's like it can fit two trolleys on each side, right? And two trolleys are there, and you're pulling up, and you see the two trolleys coming before you. Would you not just go around the corner and go to the back of it instead of like trying to come on to like ongoing traffic? I know these are like unwritten things that you've like seen in the shop. Like I've
Yeah,
been in things
it's
where like a whole family of six are trying to go past the aisle where like six like trolleys are coming towards them, and you're like, mate, what are you doing?
Yeah, and just as somebody, just to kind of touch on your context, as somebody who fucking hates kids, like, man,
Yeah.
the little snot rockets are running around the place, and just like I'm just trying to buy chicken fillets, man, get out of my face, like, don't, what are you getting up my grill for, like, please back off.
I never understood why people voluntarily bring their kids to do a food shop. I mean, I understand like if you've no one to mind the kid and you have to bring them with you, but like I never understand like if you have someone in the house that can mind the child for like an hour, would you not just go do the food shop to get it done in 40 minutes and just head home? I don't know, I don't understand that, but
Yeah,
anyway.
the Duns that we shop in particular as well, the queue, like, it's not built for how many people go there. Like, it's a standard enough Duns, it's big enough, like it's a typical supermarket. But the amount of people that go to this one, and like the gap between like the last aisle and the checkout, and the way like the one in Blanche's, like, it's been kind of like remodeled, so like you can get a bit of a queue in each one. Or there's like, I think in Blanche there's like 30 or 40 odd checkouts. There's like 12 in the one in Clondalkin, and the distance from like the checkout to the aisle is, I'd say, 2 trolleys width. So
Yeah.
you've got people packed, like you've literally got people queuing up an entire aisle. Like, we looked on one of the aisles, I think it was the aisle where like all the dog stuff was, and there was just a queue in that aisle for one till.
Jesus.
So as saying, we had to jump into a queue, and we were like, I think we spent longer in a queue waiting to pay for our stuff than we did actually like doing our shopping. And we kind of just said, fuck this. So I think honestly we'll be going to do our shopping. Like, I think we said this week we're going to try and do it on Sunday night and just see how it goes.
I don't
Because it
blame
was
you.
great. It was such an, like, see, I don't know if this like makes me like, this just shows like where my life is at right now. It's like, honestly, I had such a nice time doing the weekly shop, and it was just nice and quiet.
It's such a peak performance thing as well when you like come home to like a full fridge that's just stacked up.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very like pleasing as an adult. I don't
Oh
know
yeah, no,
why.
I'm fully like one of those like people that I don't know if you've seen like the TikToks or the Instagram reels in your case, where like it's like people restocking their like home inventory. Like, I do that when I
Yeah.
get home from the shop. Like our bags of crisps, I'll open up the multi pack and stack them all accordingly and have them arranged by color, and like I'll organize them by the dates and all. Like, I'm that OCD autism kind of
I
level.
don't
Like,
I don't know if you've been seeing the video that's been going around on TikTok and Instagram recently of like DJ Khaled showing off his like freezer. I don't know if it came up on your phone at all, but
haven't seen
basically
it.
this guy has like one of them like American. He's like a producer or whatever, but he like opens his like freezer and it's like organized to bits of like all ice cream. He's like an ice cream obsessive, but like it has like every single Ben and Jerry's, like every single Biscoff, every single ice pops. And I was like watching that, I was like, this guy is locked in with
Yeah.
his stack ability. I'm sure like he probably pays someone to do it for him, but I was still impressed. Like I was like, this is really satisfying.
No, I love that. I really do.
My OCD is like happy that he does that.
Yeah, there's just something like, so, yeah, there's just something that like, for me, it's like in the week, it's like I just like to know where shit is, and like I really
Yeah,
hate like wasting food and stuff as
yeah,
well. Like,
same,
so like,
same.
I'm always very conscious of like getting the old stuff to the front and getting it used. Like,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
trying to. That was another great thing about shopping so late at night, because like all of the, the way like in the shops, like they'll put the stuff that's about to expire at the front, like, so
Mm.
everyone's already taken all those, and it's all the fresh stuff that's after going up.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
like
yeah,
I
yeah.
was looking at one of my gym meals that I get is like some NutriPower brand, which is like some other equivalent to Fit Foods, and like I really like one of their curries, and like I'm always looking at them every week, and it's always got like 5 days in them. And when you're doing the shopping this Saturday, and sometimes you might not eat this until for Thursday or Friday, like, I'm always like locked in. And then like I looked on the ones on Saturday night, and there was like 9 days, and I was like, happy days, love it, love it.
The middle-aged women are loving this fucking
Oh yeah, no, I
food
am,
shop talk.
man, I am a fucking domestic goddess. Let me just tell you
Yeah,
that now.
yeah, yeah. I can see you in a little apron.
I have an apron.
Yeah, of course you do.
I have an espresso apron. I don't know where it is, but I do have one.
It's up in the bedroom. Swiftly moving on.
Yes. Anyway, so moving on to our topic for the week. So yeah, our topic for the week is long distance FOMO. So yeah, I just was kind of like listening back to some of the stuff from last week, and I just thought there was some interesting points to be made of like, does Imran, like, we talked quite a lot about like social connection last week, and like how friendships online can be aided with social media, and like the challenges and the advantages and stuff, but that doesn't always sub out for the real thing, for like being there for people's birthdays, or those kind of like spontaneous nights that just happen and stuff. So I thought it'd be an interesting thing to touch base on with Imran.
Yeah, it kind of clues into last week's topic, which is nice. Kind of things that we didn't really probably get to express in much detail. I mean, first off, I would say like I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a person that's ever really felt FOMO a lot. I've never been a person that's been really like, oh, I feel like I'm missing out because of this situation. But I think over the past while since I've moved away, it's more like I'm not there for like the big events. And like for example, like I haven't been to like one of Shaun's gigs since his one in the
Soundhouse.
Soundhouse. So that's like obviously me and Shaun are good friends obviously because we do the podcast and besides all that. I think people again like just feel like we just have a podcast like that we're not actually friends. Like we actually do
we
talk.
were just pen pals and just decided
Yeah,
like, do you want to
yeah.
start a podcast?
Yeah, literally. So like stuff like that, like of course, like me watching Shaun's career like over the past 4 to 5, 6 years, it's been going like this. So like of for me, like stuff like going to see like a headline show for him would be nice. And then like besides that, it's more like family events. I probably feel like oh I missed out on that much. But for me personally, I'm not a person who generally feels FOMO, but I can understand why people do feel the idea of missing out on big events while living abroad, especially like when I talk to people that maybe have like nieces and nephews and they're missing their birthdays and like missing them growing up. I feel like they probably feel that a lot more. It's just like in my family and friend situations, like I don't have many friends that are in the process of like getting married or kids yet. But I feel like if them big events were happening, I'd definitely be feeling it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, for
More for
sure.
me, yeah, for me personally, like I mean, I don't probably mention it enough in the podcast, but like I miss Bruno a lot, and like I know now that he's like in the later years of his like doggy life, and that I won't get to see him as much. Like I only get to see him when I come back to Ireland. So like for me, that probably be my biggest thing that I notice.
Does it
I
ever like come
lose
across
that.
you? This might sound like really crude. You don't have to answer this, but like, does it ever like come across your minds that like the number of times you might ever see Bruno are like numbered? And sorry if that
Yeah.
like seems like a really
No,
crude
no, no.
question.
It's true. I think we talked about this actually off camera not that long ago, like about 3 weeks ago when we did like the topic about the importance of dogs. That was the name of the episode. But we talked off topic about that. And it's like the realization is like every time I'm at home, I'm only gonna see him maybe twice, 3 times a year. And that's like kind of weird because I'm trying to holding on to grips of like our relationship of when we lived together. Where like now he still notices me. Like it might take him like a couple of minutes to realize who I am again because he's like oh a lot of that is probably to do with smell because I lived in the house with him for so long,
Of
you know.
course.
But I mean it's weird to see him like look older or like maybe not move as much or like not as enough energy than he did like compared to 2 to 3 years ago. And then it's like, am I holding on to memories of Bruno and stuff like that? So yeah, like it's weird because I feel like the relationship that I had with him is definitely hindered, but I think I'm glad that I didn't decide to, ask Larry to move Bruno to Switzerland with me because that's something like I could have done as like a selfish act. Like I could have been like, look, it's both of our dogs. I think that this would be a good thing for him to move with me. And like we kind of, I don't know if you've mentioned it before, but like our situation when we moved to Switzerland wasn't the best for Bruno. So I thought that would have been selfish of me to bring him with me. And I'm glad that I didn't decide to bring him with me. Because as well like you don't take into consideration like the healthcare unit for dogs as well, like a lot of it's very easy in Ireland where if you live like locally enough to like your local vet it's easy for him to go there and he's used to the people that work there and it's like a routine checkup yearly. I feel like it's unfair of me and like very selfish of me to like take him and put him into a situation where he doesn't know the vet, they're not speaking English to him. I know like dogs maybe mightn't pick up with that as much, but it's more like the routine. I feel like if you're kind of like disrupting his routine, it can be hard on the dog.
Yeah, it's just especially because like of Bruno's age as well. It's not like Bruno's a puppy as well.
No,
Like I think
no.
maybe if he was like a year or two old, like I would have
Yeah,
been like, oh yeah, fair enough. Like
yeah,
but
fair. Yeah,
the fact that like Bruno's like what 12, 13 now,
yeah. He's
or
around. He's coming up to that now. He's probably like 11, around 10, 11.
yeah, like it wouldn't have been fair on him, especially
No.
like and like stuff like that, like you said, like where he's like comfortable in his environment now, and to like kind of like up his life, and even for you, like if something did happen
Mm,
suddenly, like say he just like something happened to him, like he cut his tail or something like that, or so like random, like he just gets sick randomly, like and you had to go to a vet, and the closest vet just did not like that was open, didn't speak English, like stuff like that
mm,
that you have to consider with that
mm.
type of thing, like.
How do you feel like on the other side of like FOMO with like friends that live abroad? I can like you can use me as an example, but I know you have a couple of friends that live abroad as well.
Yeah, like it's like I and like this kind of like touches on like the stuff we talked a bit about like last week. Like it's really cool to like see people posting about their new lives and like the things that they get to see. Like especially like people in Australia, who are like down there and they're posting like photos of like the Sydney
Out
Harbour and the
back.
Opera House and the like like it all just like the natural wildlife and stuff out there. And like there's part of you that would be like, oh, like it'd be cool to experience those things as well. And I don't think it's as much FOMO, but just more like an envy to want to have to go and experience those type of things, like
Mm,
But I don't think it's like as close to like FOMO of like like missing people's birthdays. I think it's more just generally like yearning to kind of have a similar life experience in a way, you know.
yeah. I think
Um,
there's a misinterpretation with envy as well. Like I think some people mainly take that in a bad way, but essentially I feel like it's more like, oh, I wish I could experience this with that person, that kind of
mm,
thing. Like it'd be
yeah,
like, for example, like like me and you used to go to gigs together a lot. So like if I see you at a gig of like a band I like, I'm like envious of you, but more envious that like, oh, I wish I could have been there with you rather than I'm
yeah,
envious
for
that
sure.
you're there. Yeah. I
It's
feel like I'm
it's
like,
it's it's similar like going to the cinema and stuff now for me as well. Like
yeah,
I would have
definitely.
loved to go and see Wicked with you. I just think it would have been so funny.
Yeah, Nicola actually only recently watched it last week. I actually think the one thing I'm actually looking forward to is when we do move home is probably getting to like a routine of going to the cinema again with you, like
Mm,
because I don't think people realize it was a current like we'd go like 2 to 3 times a month,
yeah,
depending on the movies
what
that
was
were
it?
out at the time. But a lot of the time, like we would just send each other like, look, I want to go to see the cinema. I'm going to go see it by myself. Do you want to come with me?
Mm,
And I think a lot of people should like jump on that bandwagon with your friends, like just even if it's not like your style of movie, like just go with them. And like that's the thing. It's another reason to catch up as well with your friend.
yeah.
Kind of fits in ideally as well. Is there anything more about like FOMO that you like things that like there's like misinterpretations of FOMO or like things that like there's like an ideology in society of like what FOMO is in terms of friendships?
Um, I think a lot of it. I don't know if a lot of it like actually applies to the long distance thing. Like I think like in my particular like thinkings of it, I apply it a lot more to, like I remember there was a time a couple of years ago where like you guys, you and a friend group were like invited to a party that I wasn't invited to, and there was like no, that's what kind of I think of when it comes to like phones, like stuff where like there's a group there, and
Mm,
I was like kind of like either like intentionally or unintentionally left out. So that's like kind of like what would come to mind for me, or like if there was a gig, like like that's kind of my association with it. But like I don't know if
mm,
that's like super relevant to like the podcast. Like I kind of wanted to delve a little bit more into
mm.
like what it was like for you, because like for me, for gigs, like I can choose where to or not to go. Like a recent example is kind of Hayley Williams of Paramore. Like she's doing a gig in Dublin next year, and I opted not to get tickets. And like, be fairly sure, like the day of the gig, I'm going to get FOMO, but like I just decided not to, just because the ticket war wasn't going to be worth.
Mm.
And it was the same day another set of tickets went on sale that I wanted, and it was just wasn't going to be worth the stress. Like so that's kind of how like I would kind of
Mm.
internalize it, because like I also get like from like seeing you, like when I see photos that you post, or whenever we're talking about like these experiences that you're getting to have, like I don't feel envious, or I don't feel like I'm missing out. I feel happy for you, like, and I'm
Yeah,
glad
yeah.
to see you, like
Doing that.
doing your
Yeah.
thing, like and living your life the way you
Mm.
are, the way you want to, or like the way you would aspire to live it, like because like life doesn't always go the way if someone had said to us 10 years ago that we'd be in this position, like we'd be going
No,
like,
no,
no way, like but like it's
no.
crazy how life can change and shift and go in different directions like that.
I can see what you mean about like the group setting things of FOMO. I know it's kind of like not related to the topic, but I can see like I know another friend of mine who kind of suffers a lot from FOMO in terms of group settings, and it's kind of like the idea. I mean, primarily probably more at a young age, but I feel like you kind of grow out of situations like that where stuff like that can happen. Um, but I'm more on the topic than on what you were saying about like the gigs. Like for example, like last year you went to see Catfish on the Bottlemen,
Mm,
or sorry, this year, and And
Yes. Yeah.
it's funny because like one of the first gigs, I don't know if not the first gig, one of the first gigs that me and Shaun actually went to was Catfish and Bottleman, and he had actually sent me. Originally, they weren't going to tour Ireland and England, or they haven't released it yet. They were going to tour in Scotland, and we were actually talking about planning to see if we could actually go and reach there. But the situation for me wasn't the best at the time. So like that one probably for me was more like envious that you got to go there. But again, like
Mm.
it's like looking at the aspect of like I'm glad you went to it. It's just I wish I was there with you. So it's
Yeah.
kind of the
Yeah.
same. It's kind of like on the same principle. Like most people in situations, and that's like a dangerous line then with friends. It's like you don't know if friends are envious of you in a way that they want you to be there, or they're actually kind of being jealous of your situation. And I think that's kind of like a dark area in friendships that can occur if like people don't want you to be in these situations. And I think that's like a very like slim line that like people don't want to talk about in friendships as well. I mean,
Mm.
most people would probably relate that to the concept of like an evil eye, where like they're envious and jealous of your situation. But like I said there with Shaun, it's like I feel like envious is like misinterpreted because you can be envy of your friend, but also like want the best for them. So I feel like that's like a thin line in between.
Yeah, because I would like say that like the sign of a good friend would be somebody who like celebrates your victories and not try and compare themselves to them. You know, like in that way of like I've got obviously lots of friends who are also musicians, and I know a lot of people in the industry, like and I don't get like I feel for me like I try not to be like envious or jealous of things. Like when something happens for somebody, it's like, right, well, no, like you worked hard for that. I'm happy that this hard work has paid off. And it is hard to, because like I have another example where somebody I know has gotten a little bit of traction where I don't really feel it was like I maybe feel like I myself and other people have worked harder for the traction that they got, but at the end of the day, it's also like a look of the draw in that
Mm.
way as well. And like that, I feel like that's how you know who is your friend and who isn't your friend. And like that can also be a sign for you as well to be like, am I this person's friend? Well, like if I felt that way, like for example, like somebody who I have collaborated with loads and who is such a good friend of mine, that is Keen Araldi. Like Keen used to be in my band,
Mm.
and Keen's a solo artist and he's in another band, and like I have nothing but love for Keen, and like
Mm.
I hope the fella goes and achieves everything he wants to. And like I don't feel like any envy or jealousy when he gets booked for more gigs or anything like that, because like I love him as a friend, like I want
Mm.
him to do really really well. Where it's like if there was like another artist where maybe something similar happened, like and I'm not as close to him, it's not that I'm not happy for them, like it's just more of a you just your instinct isn't to be like I'm happy for you. You're like, oh, I would have liked that. So I think that's where like you can tell where like you're friends with someone, or and like where you're maybe more of an acquaintance to them.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, like in kind of like your line of passion with like the music industry as well, I feel like it should be more of like a uplifting people like that are growing, because especially in Ireland as well, like the community is maybe not as worldwide as people like that have an audience in the States, where it might be a bit more accessible to them. It's because like there's this ideology of Ireland is like such a small island. So I feel like in your line of work specific, or your line of passion specifically, it's like it should be a betterment of like all the artists upbringing themselves together. And I feel like there is like a slim line there for people that like can find jealousy in it, because some people kind of relate this kind of game to like it can be competitive. And it's kind of like maybe I don't know if you've noticed, but like I played GAA for years, and for me was when I went to like the senior team, you're kind of fighting for your role in the team constantly. Like you might be two or three lads that play the same position than you, and you obviously you want to start. You know you don't go to train to sit on the bench. Like no one wants that. And one thing like I noticed is like I need to stop like comparing my game with like one thing I was like comparing my game to them, and I used to do that a lot at like a younger age, and then I realized after like a year or two of experience with the older team, it's like you only need to focus on your own game. And I think it relates the same to like your music craft. Like if you start comparing yourself to your friends in the industry or like your peers, it can be that can be damaging then to your own confidence in yourself. But I feel like in the music industry, it's like a really important to have a lot of like self belief, and I think you do that well. I think that's something that you've definitely learned over the years. And like obviously, there's always room for growth, and even I noticed that when I used to play sports very a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think like that applies to like any like trade or art form or sport. Like I feel like
Mm.
you can compare yourself, but nobody is you, you know, and you can have strengths and weaknesses, but at the end of the day, like, you know, like I've got plenty of friends who I would say, Jesus Christ, they're much better guitar players than me, and like I know I'm not a good guitar player. Like I know for a fact I am, and it's why, like I was talking to Imran before we start recording, like and you may have seen on my stories, we're recording new music at the moment, and like it's when it comes to guitar stuff, like I'm very much like, guys, I'm gonna, for the betterment of the project and for the betterment of the music, like I need to take the step back and, you know, let our guitar player Paul take the lead on this, like, you know, because he's a much better guitar player than me. But then on hindsight, then, you know, I know where my strengths are, and there's loads of reasons for that. Like, you know, like there's reasons that I'm more confident. Like I would consider myself quite a confident like MC or host, or, you know, not aside from singing, because I know I'm not the best singer either, like, you know, but I'm very confident when I'm on stage and I can interact with crowds pretty well. Like I feel like that's something that, you know, I've had people say to me like, how did you get good at that? Like, so I feel like that's something where people will be like, oh, how did you do that? But then I'd be the same with guitar playing, and then you know, I'm sure then like when it comes to sports, then, you know, it's very similar in terms, like, you know, I know myself from playing five side, it's like, Jesus Christ, like, you know, you're so good at these attributes, but, you know, there's loads of different reasons why people are like that as well. Like it has a lot to do with like the coaches you've had, or the teachers you've had, or the equipments that you've had as well. Like, you know, like you might look at some people and they might be amazing at football, but they might have just been so lucky to have had amazing coaches, really good equipment, like, you know, like really good boots, really good, like even like basic clothes and stuff, like, you know, stuff that not everybody has access to, like, you know. So it's these, like, you know, advantages and disadvantages that make you who you are, you know. So like I wouldn't change something about myself to be a better guitar player. I need to work to be a better guitar player and work within the confines of the environment that I have. And it's the same in sports, and it's the same in theatre and art and filmmaking and stuff, like, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you, definitely. I think the good thing from that is, though, I think is just start. If you know, like the best thing to do is like, even if you don't have the equipment, just start at the bottom and then just grow. And like Sean's kind of like career at the moment is currently like, if you look back when you started like making your first music on SoundCloud, like it's just been like this. In
He's
my
pointing
opinion,
up,
anyway,
by
from
the way.
watching
He's
it.
not
You're
pointing
pointing up,
down.
yeah, yeah. Sorry,
For
I
any of the audio
forget.
listeners out there.
Sometimes I forget that it's that this is being released on Spotify and Apple Music. So, my apologies. Yes, I was pointing up. Yeah,
It's going that way.
yeah.
Yeah, womp womp.
Yeah, but yeah, back on. I think reiteration went a little bit off topic, but on the ideology of FOMO, necessarily, I don't feel it. For me, it's more I'm envy in a good way for my friends. That's how I'd probably draw
Would you
the line.
feel? Do you feel like Nicola feels a little bit?
I think, I mean, as Sean knows Nicola very well, like she's got a very supportive and well knitted family. I mean, like a lot of people, and I think for her, maybe it necessarily might be like missing out on like family events, and things like to that, you know, kind of area. I feel like with her friends, she's still very tapped in an emotional connection with her friends, because like again, we're at this age now. A lot of people are moving out, and they're dating people and they're growing in them situations. But I feel like Nicola's never been a person that's necessarily felt FOMO. But I feel like on a family connection side, maybe she feels it a bit more. But again, like with time, and her parents come over often regularly over to us as well. So I think it's good that she has that connection, like that she doesn't feel like she's too far away. And like you said before, it's a lot easier for us, for our friends and family to come visit, compared to like if we lived in Australia or the
Yeah.
United States, where it's, it could be 8 to 16 hours travel. So yeah, we're lucky in that sense, but I feel like it's something that even if you do experience it, because I know I have talked to a couple of people in work and then people that have lived here, or people that live here for more, and that they do feel FOMO as well, especially when they're maybe like have mates that are in like big groups. And that's like me and you kind of talked about before as well. Like at a younger age, you tend to be friends with people that are in groups, and then as you get older, then kind of like you kind of change direction. You might be friends with individually people that maybe were in the group, or like other people that you knew from school, or essentially like that. So yeah, I feel like FOMO is definitely a thing that you definitely can feel while you're living abroad, but I feel it really depends on the person, in my opinion anyway.
Do you
Yeah.
have like any particular, like, I know you said you don't have like an awful lot yourself, but is there any particular ways that you like if you have had like little bouts with it, like ways of handling it?
Yeah, I mean, maybe the only example I can think of is I had friends recently that went to a jazz festival down the country in Ireland, and I remember for years back when I was in Ireland, they went like the first, the second year, and then the third year I was like, oh, I'd love to go, which is like I'd love to go, and then obviously I moved away and stuff like that. And when they went there this year, and they were sending me videos of like the Amy Winehouse song I loved, and like that was nice, but that was more like a little bit. I was feeling a little bit of FOMO because it was like, oh, when you say a plan with a friend and then it doesn't go through. It's kind of like that thing, like making out with the group chat. But
Yeah,
yeah, but in that sense, I was more relieved that they were thinking of me in that situation. And how I kind of dealt with that FOMO was like, I always sent a video back to them being like, oh, hope he's having a great time, miss yous and stuff like that. And I'll see you in the new year. So like more for me is like, again, it's on kind of the topic. If you are dealing with FOMO, it's like realize that your friends are actually reaching out to you. And asking like I'm thinking of you and their situation. So I feel like again, FOMO depends a lot on situations as well. I feel like if you're not getting any contact from your friends, if say you're FOMO of your friends in a situation, like say like it's your mate's birthday and you're miles away and you can't make it. I feel like if your friends aren't in contact with you on the night or in that area, maybe then you can feel FOMO. But me personally, how I deal with it is kind of like I just try make them say like enjoy your time there, enjoy the gig. Like it'd be like you if you're going to a gig, like I text you be like, oh, enjoy the gig, or if you're playing, I'm like best of luck and let us know how you get on, that kind of thing. So
yeah,
yeah,
fair,
yeah. So
fair
yeah,
enough.
yeah,
Right, right. So I think we'll move on to our current
yeah.
affairs for the week. So, by the time this podcast comes out, because we're recording it quite early compared to when it's going to come out, it will be Christmas season will be well and truly in the mix. It's
Yeah, second week
start of
in
December,
Christmas. Yeah.
and yeah, we just thought we'd touch base a little bit on kind of how we feel about kind of like things starting to kick off with Christmas and our thoughts about Christmas in general. So yeah, I think we've like touched on it before that like we're both not the biggest fans of Christmas, especially like I put my hands up and say like I am a Grinch to the max. I barely acknowledge Christmas at this point in my life. And yeah, I think like a big reason behind that is like I really feel like Christmas starts way too early. Like
Yeah,
it's kind of ridiculous how
it's straight
early it
after
starts.
Halloween.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Halloween doesn't even get a chance to let the dust settle. I feel it ruins Halloween as well because Halloween can be quite cool, but like it's like Halloween 1st November, bam, and there's Christmas lights, ads, posters everywhere, and there's Santa displays in the shopping center. It's just it's just so it's a lot. Like there's no other holiday or events that's celebrated like Christmas.
Yeah,
And
especially in Ireland.
there's a reason for that. Yeah, we can only really talk about Ireland and Switzerland really in like a deeper context. But like, how does it compare over there to Ireland?
It's not as big. It was the same with Halloween. And actually, interesting fact, they actually celebrate on the 24th here. They have Christmas, they celebrate their Christmas on the 24th, and then the 25th, then they kind of like kind of disperse again. Like essentially, like if people are coming down the country, they celebrate on Christmas Day, and then on Stephen's Day back at home, most people go to the pub or they go over to the aunties and uncles that they haven't seen and have a meal there. It's kind of like 3 days. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Stephen's Day back in Ireland is like kind of like the same day over and over again.
Yeah.
It's just like a lot of eating, a lot of watching movies, a lot of family time, that kind of stuff, which I enjoy. Like I do think it's important that like people do tap in with their family and keep them connected. But the problem is I don't like the way it's only once a year, and it's like you're kind of being forced by society, like, oh, you should do this. And I think there's a lot of pressures as well that comes with that, in terms of like gift giving. I think sometimes like
Yeah.
parents can spend a bit way too much money and people put themselves in debts over these situations. So,
Yeah.
I think one thing about Christmas is I think people should be conscious about kind of like the money spending and like the family time pressures that come with it as well. Like like when you're a kid and like you're with like all your cousins and stuff like, and you're like it's so weird. Like you just vibe over like the littlest things. It's like, oh, do you want to play FIFA or do you want to go kick a football around? And that's like how you kind of become friends with your cousins in them situations. So yeah, it's a tricky line. Like myself and Shaun probably haven't experienced the best Christmases over the years, and maybe that might be a reason why we're not we're kind of a bit biased that we don't love Christmas. I am looking forward to Christmas this year though, because it's me my first Christmas with Nicola, so that's going to be nice, just the two of us and experiencing that together as like a couple. But then again, like at the same time, it's like the Christmas period can be a lot in terms of like work areas as well. Like you've worked in retail as well. There's a lot of
Yeah.
pressures that come on the staff that work there too.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think like a massive like part of my perception of Christmas has been like work, because I worked in retail for like 7 years before I started like doing office work, like or like retail or the service industry in some form. Like I was also working in like as a waiter and stuff as well. Like so like being in hospitality or a customer facing role at that time of year like
Mm,
is not fun at all. Like
no.
it's just you're just run off your feet, and like it's also like it's a privilege to have those jobs at that age, and like it's
Yeah, yeah, of course.
good to be making money, but it does take a massive like physical and mental toll. Like like yourself, like your feet to be killing you at the end of those days, and it
Mm,
just sometimes feel like you're clocking out just to clock back in. Like all you're doing is going
mm,
home and sleeping and going back. Like, and that definitely like had an effect on me of like how I feel about the period in general. Like it's something like now, like like I said earlier in the episode, like I do my best to avoid people. I'll be doing my shopping late at night, and like I'm at the point now where like I've just said to people like I actually just don't want to do the gift giving thing, because like I said, it just puts so much pressure on people. Like
yeah.
obviously you still do the kids, like like whatever, but like the little cousins or whatever, like of course you can't be like, yeah, fuck you. you know
Is that
um
like such a like 4-year-old wife there? Like, oh,
yeah,
go first the kids. You gotta look after the
no,
kids.
yeah, but it's not like it's not their fault that the world's fucking shit.
No, no, not
But
yet. Anyway.
not yeah, yeah, yeah. It's their fault that the shops are loud.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, like I said, there's I really don't like the pressure people get put under to give gifts. Like, and I had an example of this
Mm,
last year where like I've said already loads. I don't like Christmas. I choose not to celebrate. I tell people treat me like I'm Hindu or Islamic, or treat me like I'm a different religion. Like I don't really like don't acknowledge it with me. Like that's kind of how I feel about it. I'm not doing it to be like rude, because I've just had it a lot with like being sober as well, where people are like, would you not have one drink, or why? And they just keep asking you annoying questions.
mm,
So like I found
mm.
like the best way for me to kind of like avoid those type of questions is just be like, oh, I treat it like I'm a different religion, and it's just as simple as that. Like I found like that to be the most effective way to stop people being so intrusive on it,
Mm.
you know. Um, but yeah, I had an example last year at like my work Christmas party. It was the first year I was in the company, and I just said to them, I was like, "Oh guys, like I don't celebrate Christmas. I don't really want to come to the Christmas party if that's okay." And they were doing Chris Kindle as well, and I was like, "Yeah, look, it's just really not my vibe." And like I like what Christmas stands for, but like what you said there, I don't think that should be exclusive to Christmas time. I think this is
No.
something you should do year round. Like you think of staff Christmas parties, it's like, well, no, you should always appreciate your staff year round. You shouldn't just do it at this one time of year where it looks good on LinkedIn,
Mm.
or like same with like I see like you'll always see on Facebook and Instagram and all, like you'll see more people posting random acts of kindness, or it's like just do that. That doesn't
All year
have to
round.
just be
Yeah, yeah.
this time of year. Like it's like, oh, I done something nice for my friends just because it is the season. It's like, if you can do that in April as well, like like
Yeah,
I know
true.
it's more just to make awareness of it. I'm not trying to sound like too much of a dry shy or too much of a, a Debbie Downer about it, like but I really just like feel that like it's gotten to the point now where it's like it's too loud and it's too amplified in your face
I do
that
think you're right though, Derek. There's a lot of things that you said there like that do come to light about the gift giving thing, about like workplaces and staff situations and like acts of kindness. Like I do think you're hitting a lot of the right things. It's funny as well because it starts off as like a religious tradition, and then in my opinion, like all of that has like been lost by like consumerism. Like now
mm,
it's just more about like the idea of like gift giving and spending time together, which I do think is important. But again, like it's the same thing. It's like one time a year should not be covered for the rest of the 11 months of the year that this is happening. You know what I mean?
mm,
Um, but like again, like I don't again we don't want I don't want to both sound like Grinches, so I'm going to try to play devil's advocate here. But I think
mm,
like the good thing about it is as well is it's a time for like people to reach out to maybe people they haven't spoke to, like maybe friends and family, and check in on them. So I think like that is positives that you can get from it. And again, like it also is the time to like wind down and like stay away from, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Stephen's Day. They can be time periods where you can just rest, walk your dog, have food, enjoy a movie. There's not too much pressures about going out, going seeing here and stuff like that. But I do think overall there's a lot of pressures that come with Christmas. But
Mm.
I think if I had to give advice, just like look after people this Christmas because not everyone has the same situations as every family. So yeah.
Mm. And that's like another thing to touch on as well. Like I feel like it can kind of amplify people in like lesser situations. Like that you can that can be gift giving. Like people who maybe don't have the luxury of being able to afford that. Like you think of kids in
Mm.
school, like and two kids with two different sets of parents who are on different like sides of the tax bracket and stuff. Like and one family
Definitely.
can like is struggling to put food on the table, and the other one is able to afford the newest Xbox and PlayStation. And that kid's going to come into school and go, "Oh,
Mm.
look, I got all this and I got all that," and like the other kid,
Maybe
is
didn't get so much. Yeah.
yeah, like if I not all, like it's a privilege to be able to do that sort of thing, to for that other child, like and I feel like even especially with like you see quite a lot about Christmas time about like old people and loneliness, like and I feel like that also gets amplified when it doesn't always, not that I'm saying we don't need to raise awareness for these things, of course awareness needs to be there, but like I feel like for the individual who would be very like thinking they're being headstrong of being like, oh no, it's fine, don't worry about me, I'm covered, I'm sorted, and then they end up sitting in their house alone. Like that's happened to me a
Yeah.
couple of times where I've
Yeah.
just sat in a
Same.
house by myself,
Mm.
and for like that can be good. Like it depends. Like for me, that wasn't particularly the worst thing, but like I can imagine
Mm.
if you're a very like family centric or people centric kind of person, that can be a horrible feeling. Like and I feel the way kind of Christmas can be portrayed can like make you feel almost guilty for being in that situation.
Yeah, I kind of get that thing with the guilt. I think it's definitely like a double-sided coin where it's like on one side there's the positives from it that I can see why it's a beneficial holiday for everyone, but then on the other side of it as well, like you need to talk about things like you were saying there, not everyone has the same situations, not everyone's able to provide as much, and it also can be a very lonely time for people. So I think just maybe take that into consideration, over the Christmas period to check in with your friends and family and make sure they're doing okay. I mean, you should be doing this all year round anyway. Not saying like me and Sean are perfect and that we do this every
No,
week. We
of
don't.
course not. No.
But again, we're all human and we're all developing and learning at our own time. But I think just be conscious of it. Maybe when you're talking to your friends and family over the
Yeah,
next while.
one of the big things that kind of inspired this was that I'm just really starting to get annoyed at the amount of Christmas ads. Like in
Yeah.
particular, man, the Christmas ads are like 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 as I said, I shop in Dunn's. If I see one more Dunn Stores Christmas ad with the fucking Jolly Bells in the background, I'm gonna fucking snap. Like it's just the advertising it starts way too early. I'm firmly of the belief that your tree, if you want to put up a tree, put it up 2 weeks before and have it down the week after.
Yeah.
That's how like you wouldn't do that for someone's birthday, or you wouldn't do it for like Paddy's Day or Easter. You wouldn't have ads and decorations up for months or weeks on end. Like there's somebody who had their Christmas decorations up. Those houses that dress themselves up like they're fucking doing Carnival in Brazil or something like that. Someone that had their house done up like that in September before the clocks
Yeah, 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 yeah.
even whispered at changing, before it was even dark, before 9 o'clock. Somebody had their Christmas display up.
You know what? This is weird, right? Kind of off topic because it came to my mind yesterday, right? I think a prediction of a trend could be on TikTok over the next while is people leaving their Christmas tree up the whole year. Like I can see this being a thing. I don't know why.
My auntie
Like I
done that
just
one year. I think
yeah,
it was
yeah. I don't
last
know
year or the
why.
year before. And she like decorated it for each occasion. So like Valentine's Day she put loads of hearts on it and put like red
Yeah,
ribbons, and Easter she put Easter eggs all over it and stuff.
yeah,
I mean,
it's a bit mad, but like I can see why people do it, but my opinion is a bit crazy.
yeah, I wouldn't do it. And
No,
I was looking at my auntie being like, right, well, enjoy.
enjoy. You enjoy yourself now.
You do your thing. Just
Yeah,
I know I come across like a negative bastard saying all that. I'm very aware of it. It's just
yeah.
it's not my. But on the contrary, best day of the year is Stephen's Day. Stephen's Day is the fucking best day of the year, and there's no debating it.
Football,
Stephen's Day is class.
football.
But like,
Also, we're also not talking about the feast, the Christmas dinner, lads. That's the best thing, in my opinion. Anyway, I love an roast, an after hefty Christmas roast where the plate is full of food and you sit there and you unbutton your belt after the first plate and you say, "Oh, go on, you know what? I might have a little small second plate," and then you have the second plate and you're like, "Jesus Christ!" You had about three babies after getting pregnant.
Mm.
But yeah,
Yeah, but the thing why I love Stephen's Day so much is just because like all the pressure is gone. You know,
yeah, yeah.
all
We're
it's
after
like
the period.
a lot of tension builds up over Christmas, and like this can just like be internal. This doesn't have to be like with people, like but I feel like the pressure of it can really build up. And Stephen's Day is always just. It's
Yeah.
always the day where people are like because I haven't done this for years like but I see people like get brand new clothes for Christmas Day, like they treat it like it's a night out, like they get the new clothes and they press their clothes and they do the dinner's all done up and it's all fancy, and like these are nice things. Like with Stephen's Day is just the total opposite, where people are like lounging around in their pajamas, you're having a sandwich for dinner or you're having the
Oh,
leftovers, like it's
chicken
like.
stuffing.
And then you've also got the football, which is a very welcome addition as well. And
Yes,
like I
sir.
always found Stephen's Day to be a lot more cozy and relaxed. Like I love Stephen's Day is top 5 days of the year, every year, always.
It's a very laid back day,
I don't
which is
know
nice.
what it is about Stephen's Day, but it gives Into the Spider Verse. I feel like that's like the perfect day of the year to watch Into the Spider Verse.
I'm down for that always, always. It's like after the fifth family fight on Christmas Day, no fighting on Stephen's Day. It's like
Yeah,
that scene in Peaky Blinders, no fighting, no
no
fucking
fight.
fighting.
Yeah.
Uh, but anyway, swiftly moving on again. Hope you all enjoyed our segment there of Christmas, and Sean will bring us into our final segment of the podcast.
Okay. Anyway,
Okay,
so yeah, we
that
are.
was his
Oh yeah.
cue, but he didn't cop on.
No,
Yeah,
I did cop on, but I just forgot that. Like I always do the whole,
yeah.
introduction to the segment. I forgot about that. Yeah, okay. Anyway, guys,
We
it's
could
time.
edit this for free people, but we don't.
No, but you know what? We like to do it raw.
Raw dog.
We also like to just do the podcast in one take. But anyway,
Yes.
so yeah, guys, we are moving on to your distance dilemmas. So this is the part of the show where you guys have sent us in your dilemmas. Imran has taken those inputs. Probably isn't the best word to use in this, but he's taken your dilemmas and he has reworded them. He has put them into a list. He shuffled them around. So we have this here, and it's totally anonymous. We have no idea who sent this in. If you would like to send in your own distance dilemma or your own life dilemma, you can DM us on Instagram. You can send us a voice note. You can email us at thedistancedilemma@gmail.com. Like I said before, it's totally anonymous. We don't know who this person is. Don't know if you're a boy or girl. Don't know if you're gay or straight. Don't know if you like pineapple on your pizza or not. And we
Or to
don't
wear a
judge.
headscarf.
Yeah. Touching that, that's not a racism, right? This is
Last
last
week's
week's
episode,
episode.
guys. Last week's
Last week's
episode.
episode, right? It's not a racism. Okay. Anyway, so I'm gonna let Imran kick things off and read out the first of the dilemmas that was sent in by you guys.
Perfect. So, the first dilemma. I'm in a long distance relationship and lately the effort feels one sided. I love them, but I'm starting to wonder if love is enough. How do you know when to let go? And I think you should speak first for this because you are the person out of both of us that have experienced kind of not long distance, but maybe the furthest away in a relationship. So I'll let you go first.
Yeah. Now, when Imran says that, like, it was just the opposite side of Dublin, and neither of us could
Yeah, yeah,
drive.
yeah.
So
Well,
we
I would,
weren't
yeah,
like
yeah,
different.
yeah,
We weren't
yeah,
like in different counties even, like, but if
yeah.
before
But
me
like
and
I was a
Simone.
12-minute walk to Nicola, so it was a bit different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whereas like for me and Simone, we had to basically we'd still see each other twice a week, like but it basically was really hard for us to go to each other's houses because neither of us drive. It's gas 20-minute drive from our houses, right? Like if one of us got a taxi or if one of our parents dropped either of us home or my grandparents dropped her home, right? Like that's a 20-minute drive. But to do it on public transport, it would take about 2 to 2.5 hours to do because it was a bus into town. There was no direct bus, so you had to get a bus into town and then a bus out to Ballyfermot or Blanche, whoever was going to who. So we spent like a lot of our relationship in Dublin city centre because that was just the middle point for the two of us. Like, and Simone was working in town for a long time, so I would just meet her after work, or it was just always like the midpoint. So it's tough now. It's not long distance in the same sense of like I don't know if this one is like if this person is like living in a different country or living on like opposite ends of a country. Um, you say you love them, but is love enough? Like from the wording of this, I'm kind of getting the vibe that you know if you love something or someone, I feel loved by Simone, and I've never not felt loved by Simone, whether we live together or when we've not lived together. Maybe the first time we met each other I didn't feel love because that would have been a bit too much. But from the third or fourth date onwards, had her in the bag, lads, had her in the bag. um, but like, I don't know. I feel like you'll get a vibe. Like I think I'm not probably the best person with this because I've only ever had one proper relationship. Like I've had other flings and you know girls that I've been seeing, like but like Simone's like the only relationship that I've ever had that's gone a couple of years, like where she like met, like even before like meeting my grandparents and my whole extended family and stuff. Like I've only ever had Simone for that. I've never had that with anybody else. So like for me it would be like a good, like based off the experience I have had before, like it's a gut feeling where something isn't right, and that's the type of vibe that I'm getting from this message. I don't know how you're picking it up, Imran, but like that's the kind of vibe I'm getting, that like this person can sense that something maybe isn't right in the relationship.
It's just reading this is, how do you know when to let go? I mean, I'm thinking that maybe this person is already thinking that it might be a time for the relationship to end. I could be wrong. I'm just going to try to read through the lines here. One advice I would say is, if the love is present between the both of you, I think the best thing you can do is just be honest. Be like, look, in this situation, I don't feel like I'm getting enough what I require or what I want and need. And I think, it's not selfish of you to have an honest relation or an honest conversation with your partner if that's how you feel about this situation. Again, it's kind of hard to determine because of the message. It feels one-sided. Effort is mentioned a bit into it. Love is mentioned a bit in the message. So the one thing I would say is just like try to be honest with your partner if there is love present. I'm in the same situation as Shaun. I've dated a couple of girls over the years, but I've been with Nicola nearly 9 years now. So tap myself in the back there. Also, at the same time, a lot of pressures come with long distance relationships as well, because there is that pressure of people from the outside looking in, being like, oh, are they going to last? There's distance. When are they going to see each other? Their relationship is just through online. So I would, if there is a lot of pressures on in that situation, I do think just take into consideration, if the love is present, then it will make it true. And I kind of stand by that within a lot of relationship sense. Like if you both have love for each other, you can make it work. I do feel like it is a two-person role though. So because the person states here like that, they feel like it's one-sided. So I think the best thing you can do in this situation, in my opinion, is just have a conversation. Really, like a down to earth conversation. Have an honest conversation between each other.
Yeah, like that's it. I think communication is the big thing here because in a relationship, like people need different things, like and like sometimes it can be a case of like opposites attract, in the sense of like what, like love language you guys are to each other. Like I know me and Simone are very different when it comes to like our love languages, like, and I think I would really really struggle to do like a proper long distance relationship because I'm so, for that type of love, I'm very you know touch centric. Like I need like physical touch love, whereas like Simone isn't as reliant on that. Like whereas I am, and like maybe for the person who sent this in, like they need a bit more affirmation or they need a bit more confirmation on things. And it's not like an obsessive thing. It's more just like how you like to communicate and stay in touch. Like like when me and Simone didn't live together, we were constantly texting each other. Like we were, and like I don't really use Snapchat anymore. Like, but we started talking on Snapchat, and we just had a streak. And it was kind of keeping that up. But it was also like that was how we talked. So like me, like it wasn't like an obsessive thing of like we were like, where are you, what are you doing? It's like we just knew because we could see each other on Snapchat, and that's what worked for us.
Yeah.
But I think if I was to be dating somebody, if I was to not be seeing Simone, if I was dating someone now, I don't think I'd be talking to them on Snapchat. I'd be talking to them on WhatsApp. And as you know from talking to me on WhatsApp, I don't text people all day every day. Like I'll talk to you about what needs to be talked about, and I'll move on with my day. Like especially like as you grow up, you have more responsibilities, and I think maybe in that long distance context of like maybe like you could be working like on opposite shifts, or there could possibly be a time zone difference. I don't know, but communicating like what the issue is, like, and you're saying that it feels one sided. That may not be the case, but they might just not be like having that effect on your love language, or like, like scratching that itch for your brain, not because they don't want it, maybe just because they don't know it. Again, you may have had this conversation, I don't know, I can only kind of go off what we know here.
Yeah, yeah. I think overall, in my opinion, the one thing I'd say is just have an honest conversation and kind of like what Sean said there, realize the pressures that come with a long distance relationship may impact how the relationship is going, and just take that into consideration and don't be as condescending maybe that it might come across in the conversation. That can happen in these situations. So I think just take that into consideration. It's kind of funny, like the next one we're going to, because it's like completely opposite. I don't know if you've actually read it in the group chat, but I'm going to read it now. So the second dilemma is, I work abroad in a non-English speaking country. One of my colleagues who is a non-native English speaker keeps correcting my English, as sometimes I use Irish phrases which are not really correct. Am I wrong for getting annoyed? I don't think the person maybe worded this correctly, but I'm going off as saying that it's like that they're speaking English, but they might as well be speaking Irish to them, and they're getting annoyed that that's what they're speaking. So that's what I'm kind of going off here. Um, I'd probably go with this one first because I'm in Switzerland. They speak Swiss Deutsch, or Swiss English. Sorry, Swiss Deutsch, which is Swiss's version of German. It's so many different kind of dialects and tones here. So, I'm not going to be in a situation where I'm going to start correcting people on my Deutsch. But I'll give you an example. Like, I work in the kitchen with a guy who's from Bangladesh. He speaks Bangla, he speaks a bit of Arabic, he speaks a bit of Deutsch, and he speaks a bit of English. And his English is perfect, like perfect. And there's situations like yesterday, for example, like one of the guys at the bar asked me for the edge of a lemon. Oh, sorry, the wedge of a lemon. So like like if you have a Corona, you'd put like a lemon in. So I was like, yeah, man, Grant. And then the guy was like, a wedge, and I was like, yeah. So like a wedge would be like the corner, or like if you're slicing a lemon, it'd be like the corner of like so you can put on the beer. And he was like, oh, okay. So but like he's more kind of the person that would kind of try to learn as like he's around other people, especially with the Irish accent. Like the Dublin accent can be a bit strong sometimes. I feel like I do have a neutral accent, and sometimes it gets a bit dull when I'm with more dull people. But I mean, like in his situation, he's a lot more patience with it, and he's like trying to actively learn. So I feel like it really depends on the person that you're speaking to in this situation, because sometimes, like like from reading the message, this person kind of seems to be like a bit of a narcissist, that they only try to take things that like they're trying to autocorrect you. And I think I know, it's funny enough, like I know two people already in my life that are a bit of like autocorrective. I let it slide because it doesn't bother me much, but I can see why you get annoyed. So one thing I would say is, again, maybe if it's really, really, really bothering you and it's affecting your work, and maybe like say it to them, be like, look, you don't speak the language as well as I do. I think you're being a bit narcissistic. Again, it depends how you say it as well. Like, you don't want to come across and start an argument at work, but like maybe just mention it if it's annoying you. I don't know if you have anything to want to say on that.
Yeah, like I think you're definitely in the right to be annoyed. Like that would
Yeah,
annoy me as well.
yeah,
Like that's like, I think first and foremost, are you in the wrong for getting annoyed? No, you're not. Like
no,
so valid. Like I
yeah,
said, I
valid
think it's
feelings.
it's a dialect thing. Like even like we've gone, I've gone to England, and they don't understand how I say some things, or likewise, like I've gone over and like you only have to look at the likes of there's some regions in Scotland where it's really hard to understand what they're saying, and
Hmm.
Newcastle would be another region in England where like it can be quite hard to understand what they're saying, but it's just accents and dialects and things being a little bit different. And I think it's I don't know, I wouldn't use the word narcissistic. I would say it's a bit obnoxious, I think is a better
Yeah,
word to
obnoxious. I
use.
think that was a bit strong using the narcissistic word, but yeah, I
Yeah,
understand what you're saying.
I think obnoxious is a better word, like
Mm.
because I get like from the person who's like English isn't their first language, they're trying to like learn, and it can maybe be a bit of a distraction when you drop words in that like don't like they don't translate or they don't seem correct. Like, but that's also what makes language language. It's how you can tell. Like it's how you can tell I'm from Dublin, and it's how I can tell you can tell someone's from Blanche, or even different like suburbs in Dublin and stuff like yeah, for me, like I just think it's really obnoxious of the person to do it. I don't know if I think if it is bothering you that much that like it's it's really affecting you then to bring it up. I think it's one of those things where you can maybe let it slide as well. I don't think it's like enough to, get anybody in trouble, because I don't think they're looking for trouble. Like, I just think
No,
it's like
no.
it's an annoying habit. Like, but definitely it's at the point where like it's boiling your blood. Like, because for example, one thing for me that I hate is when people call me Shawnee, right?
Yeah,
And
you
at
were telling me that
football,
before, yeah.
yeah, at football, the lads call me, and they don't know this, but they call me Shawnee all the time. It's like, right, okay, is it worth bringing this up? Because sometimes you'll have people who will then purposely do it to annoy you, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have the opposite case where, like, you don't want to like make people feel like they have to step on glass around you as well. I think it's like a similar thing where it's like it's not like bad enough to be like you should bring this to your manager and like go down disciplinary route. I don't think it's like that serious, but I think it's very valid to be getting annoyed over it.
Yeah.
And like I think if it gets to the point where it is starting to really really get under your skin, it's like it's a like a daily or weekly problem. It's definitely
Mm.
worth at least saying it to the person, being like, look, it's just my dialect, it's just how I express things. I don't mean to like I imagine it can be a bit confusing for the person who's trying to learn the language, but like at the end of the day, that's not also your fault for confusing them just because you say things slightly differently, because it's not something that's like exclusive to people who don't speak the same language. Like there's different phrases for different things in different English speaking countries. Like in the USA, the way they say sidewalk and we say path, or the way they say garbage and we say bin, like little things like that.
Yeah.
That it's not a different language; it's the same language, but it's just phrased differently. Like and
Mm.
yeah, that's kind of what I have to say on that.
Yeah, I think maybe just having an honest conversation again. I know we're kind of repeating ourselves here, but I think the best thing in that situation is just look, say to them like, look, it's been bothering me. You've been saying this to me. I'm not trying to take it disrespectfully, but you know, as someone who maybe doesn't have the same dialect or the same, like you were saying there, maybe tone of voice, it can be a bit like annoying over time. So I think maybe just have a conversation. And most people in these situations, like once you talk to them, they're like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was doing that," and stuff like that. Because people
Mm,
are human as well. At the end of the day, people do things without even noticing it, and like it can happen. Like,
for sure.
yeah, for
Right.
sure,
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
think that's
Two interesting ones there, though. Kind of on
yeah,
end
yeah,
of the
for
scale,
sure.
different. Like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
so much for
think
sending them in, guys.
yeah, and like we were saying there, if you would like to send in your own dilemmas, they are totally anonymous. As you just heard there, we don't know anything about the people who send them in. When we're recording them, at least anyway. You can send us your dilemmas on the distance dilemma pod at gmail.com over email, or if you want to also DM us on Instagram if you want to send us a voice note, or you want to send us a text message, totally fine. If you want to maybe make a burner email so you can guarantee that we don't know who you are and you want to send it in, that's also totally fine. So yeah, we'd look forward to hearing some more submission from you guys in the future. And I think that's going to be a wrap on this week's episode.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. Yeah, and I think for the coming weeks we have a lot of more dilemmas to go through. So looking forward to it.
Yep, sounds good. Right, well, guys, thank you very much for tuning in to episode number 42 of the Distance Lemma podcast. My name is Shaun and I'm in Dublin. This was Imran. He is in Thun, Switzerland. This is our long distance friendship podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. We will see you again or hear you again next week at 6 a.m. Irish time, 7 a.m. CET every single Monday. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will talk to you again next week.